This is the untold story of the YouTube community about people from all around the world who came together for truth. Who came together to discover truth, to discuss truth, and to share truth. For non-profit reasons, originally anyway, and to try to make a positive difference in the world. This community, known as the YouTube community, or otherwise as the YouTube Truth community, gave the content with their own time and energy to build YouTube into the large site which it has become today. This community has been under attack, has been silenced, and now exists only in fragments. If you're fairly new to YouTube, this may be surprising to you. All I can do is tell you about my experiences here, what I witnessed from my own perspective, and you can, if you're new to this issue, you can make your own judgments on it. If you are familiar, as the vast majority of you watching this probably will be, I encourage you not only to leave comments, but also to make a video of your own, talking about your own experiences and your own memory of the YouTube community. I will definitely watch your videos on this. For me, the main thing I can say here is in my entire life, I never really knew what a community was until I came onto YouTube. It's sad, but I have lived in numerous communities, from small country communities to areas in a large city. I have lived in different kinds of communities, large and small, and I have never in my life experienced a community. I've never lived with people who really cared about each other. I've lived in areas where if someone's home burns down, people come together and they help them, and yeah, that's nice. Then you have a sense of community. This is partly why I've always liked Christmas and Halloween and Thanksgiving, because it feels like there's something going on. People are doing stuff together. There's a sense of togetherness, and because I don't get that most of the time. Only if there's a special event or something, whether it's something good or something horrible, that there's any real sense of togetherness. Most of the time I don't feel that. For the most part, this seems to be a dog-eat-dog world. And you have your friends, you have your family, and no one else really gives a damn about you, and we're all used to that. And unfortunately, this works for communities, so-called communities as well. I've never been a part of a community where I felt not only was I a welcome participant. I'll go into why that is in a moment. But where I saw real communityism. I saw people who liked and respected each other, and although there may have been arguments and heated debates, it seemed that it was okay to have a different opinion, a different view. Not on all occasions, and I'll get to that eventually, and it seems like whatever goes up must come down, you know. Nothing lasts forever. But anyway, for a while, what I witnessed, for the most part, was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. YouTube, I mean, if you think about this, this was the people's media. This was revolutionary. This was a time when anyone could come on and put up a video and say, hey, you know what, I think this. I've been thinking about that. I've always wanted to say this. Anyone could do it, but who would do it if you think about it? It takes guts. You're putting yourself, your face, your voice, and you don't have to give your personal identity, but you're giving your identity, you're giving your personality. You're putting it out to be under attack for, you know, people will attack you and beat you and kick you into the mud for anything. It's because they want your job, that they don't like you. They see you as a threat to a promotion or to a love interest, or it could be anything. People are cold and vicious and cruel, and we all know that. Not everyone's like that, but at times the world can be a difficult place. When you put yourself out there, you're putting yourself out there for all kinds of ridicule and abuse. Anyone who's in the mainstream view, anyone who is any kind of celebrity, even a YouTube celebrity, would know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyone who's ever been in the public eye in any way would know what I'm talking about. It takes guts. Most people would be terrified of doing this. Strangely, it worked. It worked. And Why did it work? Because those of us who were odd enough, those of us who really don't care that much of what people think about us, or who otherwise have the strength to endure criticism, those of us who say, oh, I don't care, I really don't care, us oddballs, us weird people, outside of the box thinkers. No one ever listened to me before. I was always that odd guy with the odd ideas that people thought, well, that guy Greg, he's nice, we all like him, but just don't get him talking. He'll go into all these philosophical things. I've always been told I overthink things. I think too much. And sometimes that may be very true, a perfectly valid criticism. But there's times when people don't think enough. And, how many times in my life have I seen people being used and abused and going along with this big tyrannical system which is treating them like slaves? And to point this out, oh, you're exaggerating, it's not that bad, and yet it's as plain as black and white. It's right there. It's the elephant in the living room, and yet, I mean, everyone knows it. I mean, they have to, but it takes someone not with the intellect, it takes someone with the heart, with the spirit or whatever, to have the courage to come out and say it, what we all really know deep down. But that's just it. People are terrified of the truth. People are terrified of standing up against the system. What happens if you think about it? Go back to when we were all children on the playground. What happens when one kid stands up and questions the status quo? Questions authority, questions who are the bosses, who are the leaders on the playground. What happens to someone who stands? I mean, they get tested, and they either come out being the new like leader, or someone that everyone just respects, or they're beaten down and they're just going to be a human punching bag by a whole lot of people. So I mean, that's what happens, and that puts a subconscious fear in people at a young age by either experiencing that or witnessing that, whereby no one really wants to stand out and question the leaders and their decisions, whether it's on the government level, whether it's in business, whether it's just socially. No one wants to stand up and say, hey, I think this is all wrong, because everyone's going to turn and look at them and say, what? Not only do they want an explanation, are you going to have to explain yourself? And that terrifies a lot of people. I've said before, I feel that people are so, they don't value themselves like they should. The people are afraid to make a stand and say what they think. It's like a mass low self-esteem, I've referred to it in the past as. But anyway, this is it, though. Us oddballs who don't care, we'll just come out and say what we think. This gave us a forum to come out here and speak. We're the ones who were crazy enough to actually do this. And so, I mean, for some we were entertainment. Oh my God, look at these nutballs. They actually are coming on, they're actually talking about these sorts of issues. And for others, it just would have been, wow, this is great. They're actually saying this. And it's not that, God, we're only human, of course. Me and everyone else, we're human beings, we're flawed, no one has all the answers, but we're people who are coming out and speaking about things that need to be discussed. And there were plenty of discussions, plenty of debates, lots and lots of arguments. But what was amazing, though, is the kindness. I made videos about subjects that I would be ripped on anywhere else, where here, people were so damn nice. And I know, because I have a brain, I know a lot of people saw some of those early videos I made, some of which are now private because things have changed. But anyway, I'll get there. But the thing is that instead of being ripped on, they would just, I mean, logically, some of them must have thought this guy's nuts, but they didn't react that way. And that was what was strange. YouTube could have failed. It could have failed early on. Who wants to put themselves on video, really, and talk and share things? It takes guts. But we came out and we did it. And for whatever reason, for factors that I can't even begin to fathom, it worked. People came to us and they listened, and they were nice, and we were nice to each other. There was a kind of a mutual respect, because it was all of us. If you're familiar with Jungian psychology, the INFP personality, which I fit into very well, a lot of us kind of revolutionary idealist or outside the box thinker types, we all sort of just came out and we respected each other, even though we were quite different. We often really, and a lot of people became friends. I mean, I made at least like one really good friend on YouTube, and I've made a lot of friends, meaning people that I sort of know. you know, on a first name basis I may not talk to that often, and that's partly because, of course, I get distracted in my own personal life. I'm a very solitary person, and frankly, sometimes I can just be plain shy. Um, but I'm weird like that because I can take on a whole room full of people in a debate. I can take a whole room full of people and make them laugh. I have in the past been very, very funny. I've tried hard not to be funny on YouTube for the sake of credibility, because the point of this wasn't to be an entertainer. It was to try to make a positive difference. So I've tried actually not to be funny in my YouTube videos. I've tried to be serious. By trying, I mean, you know, going into serious subjects rather than silly ones and whatever. Um, but anyway, um, it's amazing that it worked, and it did. And once it got going, like I say, all us kind of oddballs, the intuitive, more, um, you know, introspective, independent thinkers, we really kind of encouraged each other and respected each other, and there was a community of people, of thinkers, who just thought outside the box, and some were very silly, um, some were kind of crazy, and others were less so, but all kinds of characters. Some were not at all what they appear to be, but I'll get there too. And one thing I want to make it clear, though, I should have said this in the very beginning, I won't be mentioning any names, nor will I be pointing the finger in any way to any channel here. Okay, this is not about any sort of, I'm not making it personal here. This is about my experience with the community and with different personality types. I'm not doing this to try to give credit or criticism to anyone in particular. So I just want to make that clear. I'm going to try very hard. Although you can't discuss a truth movement without mentioning someone like Alex Jones. So there are some exceptions, but I'm not going to mention like YouTube channels or anything by name. So that's what really kind of made it work, was that we were all kind of oddball, outside of the box thinker types, or otherwise people who are open-minded. I think most people are pretty open-minded. I've had discussions with just ordinary working guys who are quite willing to discuss things like UFOs and human cloning and all kinds of weird things. I mean, I hardly ever said a word. I let them talk, and I was amazed. A lot of people are perfectly capable of thinking outside the box. It's just that they're generally afraid to, because they know they'll be criticized for it. So I think that a lot of people from all walks of life were fascinated by listening to those of us who had the character or the guts, however you want to put it, to come out and talk about these sorts of interesting issues. And what was amazing when I first came on YouTube was that they had a list of the top viewed videos. And at the very top were mostly documentaries, which were highly skeptical of the status quo. I remember an Alex Jones video. I remember the original Zeitgeist documentary, which I was never a fan of personally, but still, they raised a lot of interesting questions, all right? I look at it the same way as I look at New Age material. I love reading New Age books. I don't take it literally. You know, I don't believe that I am from an alien planet and I've come here to be born as a human being and then to go back to being an alien entity in another world, you know, and all these sorts of weird ideas that I find fascinating. As someone who likes writing fiction, I'm fascinated by all sorts of ideas. And you never know. I mean, there's no way to say that that isn't necessarily so. So it's just food for thought. It's interesting and it's fun. And what the hell? Why not? If you have a brain, you're an independent thinker, then there's no harm in listening to all kinds of weird ideas. You know, you may find yourself agreeing with some of them. You may find yourself laughing at a lot of them, or both. I mean, you know, life, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. But I looked at a lot of these documentaries and vlogs, meaning a video blog, right? Or just independent, like just sometimes a person would only make one video. It'd be a really interesting video, and they'd never make another one. So, or they'd make one or two more, and it wouldn't be nearly the same kind of, you know, quality or depth or whatever. But anyway, all kinds of different kinds of videos here. And the top viewed ones, as YouTube would list, were all or almost all questioning status quo. There weren't a lot of really successful entertainment videos at that time. When I came on, I believe it was 2006. I don't remember how long I was on before I actually. The only reason I made this channel in the first place, which I named Neurolanus, which is a nonsensical word that I just made up so that it was original. the only reason why I even did that was so that I could comment, because as I researched and I discovered, that there was truth and validity to what people were saying. Um, Not that I ever, well, I seriously considered, but I, uh, I don't think I truly bought into the idea of a new world order that was in control of everything. Um, because the problem with that is that there's too many power groups vying for control. It's difficult to prove that one group is. The world is too chaotic. There are too many different nations, supposed race. I hate that. To me, we're all one race, but whatever. Races, different people of different colors, with different religions, with different outlooks, all hating each other. I mean, it's hard to imagine one power group behind everything and one power group actually getting control over everything. It just seems ludicrous with all the division and hatred in this world. Um, but however, like when I got listening to Alex Jones, for example, uh, I was very concerned. I mean, is this guy a lunatic? Is he just over the deep end? Is he full of crap? I mean, I as an actor, someone who's acted, I recognized that he was a radio personality. I knew that he was exaggerating and performing. I had no question about that. My question was the validity of what he was saying. I can only speak from my personal experience, and this would have been around 2005, 2006, in there somewhere. Every time that he reported something that I questioned, I would look it up, and I found personally that every single time I looked up something that he stated as fact, it was fact. The government had come out and admitted to certain, torture of people in this country or whatever. There were documents released which showed that corruption happened here and so on and so forth. I personally never caught Alex Jones on a lie, not through documentation. I did, however, find him to be grossly exaggerative, sensationalist, and cutting people off and not letting people criticize him. Sometimes someone will call into a show and they have legitimate criticism and saying, this doesn't make sense to me. How can you say, for example, that one power group can control the whole world or something like that? They make a good point. I think, yeah, that's a good point. You say, oh, you're against me, you're this and you're that, and you're trying to silence me. And he'll cut them off and literally, he'll just disconnect them and he'll ramble on, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you loudmouth, arrogant bully. I mean, Alex Jones is a very difficult man to have that much respect for, but in my opinion, being intellectually honest, you have to give him credit that he was the one who did it. He came right out, and he said a lot of things that were true. He may have exaggerated, he may be a sensationalist, but there were a lot of documentation he brought to a lot of people's attention about a lot of things, to the extent to which power groups behind the scenes are in control and what they will do to maintain control and what they will do to silence the atrocities that they commit to the people. There were a lot of important pieces of information that came out thanks to Alex Jones. So like him, hate him, he is what he is, he's done what he's done. A lot of figures in the truth movement are imperfect. They're human beings, and they're capable of screwing up and making mistakes. They're capable of becoming very arrogant and full of themselves. This is not unusual, and it often happens when someone gets into the public view. Not just on YouTube, of course, but it could be on TV or whatever. But anyway, I'm getting off track here a little bit. These were the sort of videos with Alex Jones and other figures that were doing very well and that were in the top 10, the top 10, the top 20 or whatever list of videos that I saw, and it was amazing. And so then I came on here and I just supported people, is what I did. I watched people's vlogs, their videos, and I liked what they were saying. I mean, whether that they were reporting on facts and things that people were not being made aware of by the mainstream media, or facts about things the mainstream media were lying about. I would support these people. I would at the time, we had a star system, so I'd give them 5 stars. Sometimes I would favor their video. I would share it around. I would comment. And I'm a writer, so I'm good at making comments. And I always make comments that were honest. My comments may not have all had the same quality. Sometimes I didn't know what to say other than good video, keep it up. Sometimes that's all you know what to say. But I would try to say something, if I could at all. And I did that. I largely supported people by 5-starring their videos and commenting, and that was my way of supporting them. I did that for quite a while, and I never thought I'd make any videos. I wouldn't have named my channel something nonsensical if, and back then you only had a one word, I believe. I could be wrong, but anyway, you weren't expected to give your name for your channel name back then, right? So anyway, now that you're supposed to, I've changed my name to Greg Neurolanis, because a lot of people here know me as Greg, or they know me as, the other name. So I'm by both now. But anyway, for a while I was just calling myself Neurolanis. But anyway, yeah, I didn't think anyone would listen to me. I mean, I had some friends on here because I had supported them to a lot of their videos, but I mean, what the hell can I say? All I would have to say would be my 2 cents. My first video, my first vlog, I kept it up just out of sentimental reasons and to show that I'm human. My first video was god-awful, but it, all it was just me, some guy just sharing some opinions, some views, and saying hello. That my videos, they got gradually better, but I've never tried to go the sensationalist route and like Alex Jones, and I've never tried to be an entertainer. I've never tried to be a reporter, even though you could say that I have reported on a lot of things, so you could say I've been something of a reporter, but I've never considered myself to be one. I've just tried to contribute and to be a part of what was going on here. And I did make friends here, even though they may not have been like close, like really good friends, but there were people that I liked and that I supported. And truthfully, like I had a sense of community. I felt for the first time in my life that I was a part of a community of people who valued me. I was a part of it. I was welcome. I was odd. I had weird ideas, and that was not only okay, but it was more than welcome. It was wanted. And that was amazing. I was grateful that this was happening and that people were encouraging others to think outside the box, to question. And I was so glad it was happening. I was glad to be a small part of it. And I was encouraged to make videos, which I was reluctant to do, but at the time I remember I had bursitis. I had a lot of pain. I wasn't able to work, so I had time. And so I thought, well, I guess I might as well try making some videos. So anyway, I became a small part of actually contributing with videos here on YouTube. And it was really, truly amazing to see a people's media where the people, for a change, instead of having, of course, the powers that be being represented, and we've all seen how the media will slant things against unions in favor of companies, not saying that there aren't corrupt unions and that some companies are not fair and reasonable, and not that companies have never been destroyed because of unfair and unreasonable unions. I'm just saying that it really generally slants things in a certain way in the favor of big business. And it was interesting to hear people, just people of all walks of life, come out and just say, hey, this is what I see, this is what I think. And by digging, these are some documents that I found, government documents, maybe an odd mainstream article here and there. The rest of the mainstream just didn't pick up. That'll just blow your mind. Wow, I didn't know that. I remember the H1N1 virus vaccine thing and how that was trumped up. That was made into this huge thing that it wasn't. It killed less people than the average flu season virus, and yet they made it like, oh my god, everyone's gonna die, oh my god, you almost run out and get your vaccines. Well, whoever made that vaccine, I don't remember the name of the company, but they must have made a lot of money for those vaccines. I don't think they could get it out fast enough. The mainstream media really made a circus of that, and this is where the negative side of the YouTube experience comes into, and I have to go into this because honesty is what this has always been about, the truth movement. Yeah, I mean, there were some supposed scientists here on YouTube who, and I'm not mentioning names, scientists plural, not pointing the name to any one person in particular, who were making videos and claiming that it was going to mutate. And I asked very respectfully, discreetly by PM, just like, really? Do you have any evidence at all? And all I got was, well, we were told on the inside. It's an inside thing, so don't mind. And I think, see, I was so nice about it, they thought I was a fan. I wasn't. Like, I follow channels sometimes just because I'm interested to see what they say and what their take on things are. It doesn't mean that I even like at all what they're actually saying. But anyway, not that I have a problem with scientists. I'm just saying this. Some of these people are not all that on YouTube. I mean, are not all that honest. Obviously, there was no evidence to suggest that it was going to mutate into something big and this was going to kill people and everyone should be fearful and panic and oh my God. No, I mean, there was something going on for sure. There was something going on beyond just the mainstream media. I mean, why would scientists go along with that BS? To this day, I don't know. But this is where whistleblowers come in and where they risk everything, their job sometimes much more than that, to come up with documentation, of which, of course, WikiLeaks was a big part. But YouTube was kind of in the center of a lot of this in terms of the social side of it. YouTube was kind of the social media center for everything. This is where people, it seemed to me, this is really where the whole truth movement came together and talked and interacted and discussed and shared. And this was like, YouTube was the truth movement central, sort of, and so it was fascinating. And for people who were never into the truth movement, they have they have these stereotypes that are ridiculous. They think that everyone in the truth movement are a bunch of truthers, like kids that listen to Alex Jones and run around quoting everything he says, and they don't really know, they don't do any research of their own. And that's not all how it was. I mean, there were people that questioned a lot of things that the truth movement we're saying, but we're still, I would consider, part of the community. The community was made up of all sorts of different people. And when I say truth, I mean what it really came down to, where it all comes from. I don't want to go too much into the history of this, but it was largely 9/11 truth. It was a common belief that a lot of independent thinkers had, and anyone who thinks really independently should be able to question what happened. And I'm not going to go into that because it's so huge. There's so many things to say. But just keeping it very simple, how two buildings come collapsing down at free fall or near free fall speed without slowing down as they pile up. I don't mean to sound like an arrogant, believe me, I don't know everything. I'm not always so smart and sharp on top of everything. I don't mean to sound like I am. But the moment I first saw the footage of one of those buildings collapsing, I knew it was a controlled demolition because common sense. When you see a large building collapsing down, and I don't mean to laugh and make light of what the horrible thing that happened there. I'm just sort of in the emotional mindset of looking at my experiences, of course, in the movement. And the things we're talking about were heavy. They involved a lot of serious subjects, a lot of pain and suffering and death. And that's why it mattered. That's why we talked. And yet there was a social side. There was a fun and friendly and warm side. And that's where my head is right now. I just want to make that clear as I'm looking back and sentimentality of my experiences with the social side of this. Believe me, I mean, I was concerned, I was angry, I was worried about the future, as a lot of us were, where things were headed, and that's why we were involved, a lot of us anyway, although there are different reasons. I'll get there. But anyway, but yeah, the truth movement started and largely was a collective understanding that the official story of 9/11, which by the way only happened because four women who I believe whose husbands died on 9/11 insisted on an investigation and finally got one, and very few of their questions were answered by it. It didn't make any sense. It was obviously a flat-out lie. In my humble opinion, or not so humble opinion, it was an insult to the intelligence of a 10-year-old child who was capable of thinking. It was ridiculous that anyone would buy that. And Tower 7 just collapsed perfectly straight down on its foundation too, by the way, even though it wasn't hit by a plane. Just because, and again, you're not supposed to think about it. If you think about it, then you're a conspiracy nut. And, So, anyway, that was what kind of linked us together, was a common belief that the official story is a joke. Beyond that, there were a lot of disagreements over the specifics. I mean, of course, you get into conspiracy theorizing because we don't know. Although there's so much evidence that it's who knows. I do think the whole story will become clear in time. Call me crazy, but it's just too many people looking too deeply and for too long. There's too much documentation that's come out. I think eventually it may be worked out, the details of it, before the assassination of JFK has even become clear, just because it was such a public event, and there's so much evidence to look at. You know, there's been so many good documentaries made on it. I can link some in the video information, no problem at all. So I think that there's so much in the public eye. You've got scientists and so many different really heavy thinker types involved in looking into it, that the whole exactly what happened there may actually be worked out eventually. As far as I know, and I haven't been heavily into 9/11 for quite some time, although for a year and a half of my life I was seriously dedicated to it and debating people with it. This was around 2005 or so, before I think I really got onto YouTube, or around that time. I guess, probably around that time. And so, yeah, I mean, I was just amazed by YouTube and the discussions here. And it was the truth that held us together. And it wasn't just 9/11 truth, although that's what started it. It was the truth. I mean, what is the truth? To what extent are we being lied to by the government, our governments? To what extent are they really working for us? To what extent are they really working for big corporate interests? What is the truth of free trade? Is it really going to benefit us? If what we're seeing is a centralization of wealth and power into the hands of the few, and to hell with everyone else, to hell with our natural resources in the future, well, you know, don't people have a right to know about that? So yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just common sense and just looking and seeing what's right there. And then there's, of course, the documentation, the analyzing of it, and trying to figure out what we're not being told and what we haven't figured out yet. And I've always tried very hard to stay away from the conspiracy theorizing. I wouldn't be offended to be called a conspiracy theorist that much, but I would disagree with it, because honestly, look at my videos. How much conspiracy theorizing have I done? I mean, really, not much. I don't believe in the official story of 9/11, but that doesn't mean that I have a conspiracy theory that I'm pushing on anyone. I don't. I don't. I don't have the answers on that. I just question the official story. That makes me a conspiracy critic. It means that I see a conspiracy and I'm questioning, what is it? You know, a conspiracy theorist would be one who makes the theory and then pushes it on other people. But they try to group everyone who questions the status quo into that same group. Oh, you're all conspiracy nuts. That's what the mainstream media tries to do. And that was part of what was so great about YouTube. But anyway, going into the more the negative side of it, of course, yeah, you know, we had our debates. We had what was called the YouTube dramas. And I won't again go into any specifics, any names or anything, but I really found that largely amusing. I was in a few dramas myself, nothing major. I've seen channels like people really go at each other, and you know, personally, I've always liked a good heated debate, as long as it doesn't get so ridiculously, you know, personal. And if someone ever did get personal with me, and believe me, I mean, after I said earlier about people being nice to you, when you get enough attention, you go into enough heated subjects, you will get critics. I mean, at one point or another, I've pretty much been called every name in the book here. I've fallen into, God, I've been called everything from left wing to right wing. I've been called a socialist, as if that's a horrible thing to be. A socialist. I've been called a communist. I've been called a libertarian. I've been called, oh my God, I've been told I'm too vocal. I've been told I'm too soft. I've been called so many opposite things. It's ridiculous. And it's all funny. But I mean, I've been through so much ridicule from being just a weird outsider type, you know. You can imagine what it was like in my youth. Believe me, I've had my knocks. At this point, I'm a grown man, and I can take more than a little abuse, you know. I can take a lot of criticism. I mean, I have friends who will give me good, honest, you know, cruel to be kind, good, healthy, helpful criticism. If anyone really cares about you, they will. I can take criticism, whether it's complete BS or it has truth to it. Sometimes it's hard to take, to be honest. But here on YouTube in the comments, I honestly can't think of anything that really got to me. So, you know, if people want to attack me, they can go right ahead, but good luck trying to get to me. Um, there are things that will get to me, but it's like seeing my country being corrupted and going down in flames. That can get to me. Seeing people suffering can get to me. Having a little bit of criticism, that generally doesn't get to me. So yeah, there was certainly some negativity. And some people on YouTube that I looked up to in the early days turned out to be very different than I thought. Some turned out to be narcissistic, even downright psychotic, and I really had no idea. It's hard to know someone. I mean, there is a saying, do you ever really know anybody? Many people have had the experience of knowing someone in person for many years without really knowing who they were. Uh, on YouTube, of course, you're going to think you know people and you're really not going to know them at all. And a lot of the good people on YouTube, I've noticed, we learn the hard way about the bad people. Some people left YouTube because they had their docs dropped. A doc drop was a term that means basically someone revealed who you are, where you live, your address, your personal information. That was always an easy way to get someone you didn't like off of YouTube. The tactic used by bad people to get rid of good people, unfortunately. And unfortunately, yeah, it really did work. And some really good people left for that reason, unfortunately. And some good people were driven out. And it's not like there hasn't been bigotry. And unfortunately, there always is going to be some bigots. And so unfortunately, where I'm male and white and heterosexual, I have it a lot easier than some, That's just a fortunate truth of it. But, obviously the YouTube truth movement or community on the whole, I think we're very open-minded, very human. But you're going to have your bad seeds, and they're the ones that will yell and scream, and they'll stand out. You may get a whole lot of positive feedback on a video, but if you get one or two people shouting at you and there'll be the comments that'll stand out, of course, for most people most times. So it doesn't take a lot really to really bother and offend people and drive them away, unfortunately, a lot of the time. So a lot of good people have left YouTube because of a few people being just hateful. But again, most people, in my opinion, here are not like that at all. Most are pretty decent. But I've discovered that, unfortunately, some of the most interesting and seemingly genuine and kind people in the YouTube community were complete frauds, narcissists. They could look at you, like I'm looking at the camera right now, and smile and be completely full of crap. There are some people who would do what's called shoutouts, and that's where you make a video saying, "Hi, Tommy0121. I'm just saying hello. I saw your video the other day that got 2 views, and I just wanted to say hi and bring some of my people to your channel." And what that does is it earns loyalty. So then they say, "Oh wow, geez, this person did a video on me," and then they'll be really loyal. Next time they see a video of yours, they'll say, "Oh, great video," and that's a way of earning followers that are loyal to you. And if you needed to be defended because you're in a heated debate with someone, they'll come in and attack you. I've had that happen. I've had I call them brown nosers, but I've been in the past, not mentioning names again, where in situations where by criticizing someone, I had their followers coming on to me and attacking me, and then I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to this person, not you. And then that person, rather than addressing me, they would be a snotty little coward and just sit back and I guess laugh while their little minions were at me. And that's the pathetic side of YouTube, is that you did have little followers who were really followers, who were not really the thinker types and would just, gee, I don't understand the fanboy kind of personality, but that's become the dominant thing on YouTube. I'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, I mean, that started fairly early with people following someone and like worshiping them, looking up to them as someone great or someone that's wonderful. There's a kind of celebrity thing that started here pretty early on YouTube. And at this point, there actually are YouTube celebrities. And then there are people who think they're celebrities, and I don't know to say if they are or they're not. What makes someone a celebrity? How many fans does this person need? What qualifies as a fan? I guess it's largely subjective. No way would I ever consider myself to be any kind of celebrity here on YouTube, even if my channel is much larger than it is. To me, you need millions of people who care about who you are to be a celebrity. That's my view, but then again, I'm judging that by Hollywood standards, so I don't know. Again, it's subjective, but yeah, a lot of good people have been driven out, but what happened largely to the truth movement here on YouTube was, think about it, the people's media. Think about the power the media has had over the public I have a saying since I was a teenager, again, to blow my own horn. I hate the sound. Well, I don't mind sounding a little arrogant, all right, but I just don't want to sound too arrogant. Because again, believe me, I can be as short-sighted, as foolish as anyone else. I'm human, you know, but then in some ways I can be smart. And one smart thing about me, I recognize, I used to say when I was a teenager that um, that the mainstream media is the brain of our society. It tells you how you will think today and how you will dress tomorrow. I was saying that when I was, what, 15? So, I mean, that's something that some of us catch on early. Again, us who are capable of seeing things for as they are instead of how we're supposed to see them. Those who will look at an ad, an advertisement, and see that it is an advertisement, and see the you know, the magical mind trick being attempted there, and rather than actually receiving the mind trick, you know, I mean, both hypothetical people, the one that sees the trick and then the other one that doesn't entirely, they both see it as an ad. It's just that one completely gets the attempt and the other doesn't completely. They think they do intellectually, but it actually works on them and they just don't realize it, but they're bought in by it. And for those of us who are able to see through things and to see the attempts, and not that we don't fall for things ourselves, of course, but that those of us who generally see pretty clearly, because again, it's emotional. We just want the truth. That's what separates what you call an outsider personality from perhaps what? A normal person is that us outsider types, we think and we like to see the truth. We're driven for the truth. There was a great book on that by Colin Wilson back in, what was it, the 50s? Called The Outsider, which I highly recommend reading if you're interested in that kind of thing. So yeah, what happened was that YouTube became bought by Google, and then they ended up having a meeting where they discussed changing the site to make it more corporate friendly, to make it something that the corporate world could be more proud of, I believe was the exact quote of what they said. And I, at that point, could read the writing on the wall. I mean, they're already doing it. And for those of us who have been here for quite a long time, and you know, a lot of people could, you know, vouch for this. There's so many attempts to silence us, and I'm not going to ramble on about all of them, and I probably couldn't think of them all off the top of my head right now anyway. God, no, there's so many. But one thing they started doing is just simply censoring us. They'd start shutting down channels, and YouTube, of course, would never give a reason. And you're thinking, well, I guess maybe he did swear, but then you're thinking, well, there's this other this is entertainment channel where they swear, and that doesn't get shut down. Well, they were expressing opinion. Well, there's this entertainment channel that expresses opinions, and that doesn't get shut down. It became very apparent that what it was for those of us who were thinking outside the box, those of us who questioned the established, the status quo, the establishment, we were being targeted, and the channel started being shut down for no good reason. We would come together and we'd fight, and we'd put up a fight. We'd all come together. This is, again, where the community aspect of it comes in, where people would come together to fight to get someone's channel back. We'd all make videos and we'd mirror, we call it mirroring. We would upload that video that someone made on our own channel, and we would do everything we could to get that person's channel reinstated. Sometimes that was successful and sometimes it wasn't. But as time went along, YouTube listened to us less and less, to the point where they really didn't listen to us anymore. It's been that way for years now, where they don't care at all. Even what the big entertainment channels have to say, they don't give a damn what anyone has to say. So yeah, I mean, we were kicked out. YouTube changed a lot. They stopped showing the top viewed videos a long time ago, I believe. They, to hide what was popular on YouTube, obviously, they started promoting the channels that they wanted promoted and not promoting the ones they didn't want promoted. And views got weird. People that would normally get a lot of views stopped getting as many views as they should be getting, and we all kind of understood that, okay, we're being lied to, that our videos aren't being seen by as many people as actually are seeing them. It was a lot of weird things that were going on. I mean, there were videos that would be getting maybe 40, at that point would be a thumbs up maybe. It changed at one point, so 40 thumbs up, and it would normally be getting maybe 500 views. They'd still be getting 40 thumbs up, but they'd only be getting maybe like maybe 100 views. I mean, so it was so obvious, you know, that something was going on. And there were all kinds of attempts. They did it in all sorts of different ways. To, and if anyone wants to know more, ask me, and I'll have to go back through my, I might find it through my notes somewhere that I've made in the past. But somewhere, yeah, I made a list of all the different ways that they went about silencing us. There's all sorts of tricks that they used to promote the big uh, entertainment channels so they could grow and to fight us, to prevent us with, you know, who are more anti-establishment from, you know, because of course Google's a big corporation and they don't really want anti-corporate opinions ruling over this YouTube site. They wanted us, for business reasons as well as political, I think, they wanted to silence us. It's pretty obvious why they did it. And so these entertainment channels became supported. They started getting laptops and blue screens and all kinds of nice technology handed to them. They could make a lot of money, whereas our channels would be, you know, shut down. I've never privatized my channel. I do not want ads of any kind on my channel. I've been told that I would get more views if I allowed Google ads, like if I allowed YouTube to put its own ads on my videos, but I have never done that because I wanted to stay non-profit, because that is the spirit of what this has always been about. So it's sad to see at this point a reverse, and to see the commercialism to see the commercialism, the materialism overtake the substance, and to see so many good and deep and profound and interesting people just disappear. And though all of us who gave for free, yeah, and yeah, because we wanted to, but we gave, we did the work. You know, YouTube provided the space, we provided the content, we were the product. We were what sold YouTube. We were what made it big. And if they wanted to have like a big entertainment side of YouTube to make more money, fine. They didn't have to do what they did to us. They didn't have to essentially just kick us out of the site. What they did is just completely unforgivable. It's something that deserves to be a book, which as a writer could write. If I felt up to it, I do things by what feels right intuitively. You know, with art especially. You can't do something because in your head you want to. It has to feel right. It has to feel like the right time and place. You know, and making videos on YouTube felt like the right time and place for a while, but lately it hasn't. Although making this video and the one before it did feel right. So I'm surprised it actually still feels right, because for a while it really felt like there was quite a wave of energy to ride on here, that you were a part of something, and I haven't felt that lately. So I'm going to see, I guess, how this goes over, but I was never into this for views. I was never into this for anything other than just feeling that I'm doing some good. It's very healing, it's very healthy, it's empowering to make videos. I highly recommend doing it and sharing your thoughts and views. I think it can be cathartic. And knowing that you're making some kind of positive difference. The important thing is to be honest as you know how to be. And you will grow and you will learn more about yourself. It's amazing. I could go on about that, just the experience of making videos even. I'm going to stay on topic here. But yeah, being a part of what happened was amazing. And there still are people here. The truth movement on YouTube still exists in fragments. We can no longer call ourselves the community, because there's a new community and we all know it. We don't want to acknowledge it, but it's true. The new community on YouTube is really the gaming community, isn't it? It's all these fanboys. It's these entertainment channels, which I don't begrudge them from making money doing what they love. Wow. You know, I would love to make money doing what I love. For me, it's writing. I'd love to be a published writer and make a living doing it. So people can make, and I have a channel where I'm subscribed to entertainment channels on YouTube. I don't watch TV, so for entertainment I'll either watch Netflix or I'll watch YouTube. So I do watch YouTube entertainment channels, and I will comment and stuff once in a while, but they are not anything like those of us who think outside the box. I'm not being just stereotypical. Trust me. You can talk to them, you can try. They are not at all outside the box thinker types. Even those who seem to be really intelligent are not really. Again, it's not down to intellect, it's down to your heart, it's down to wanting the truth. I've always said the truth is like a big jagged pill that no one wants to swallow because it'll make you sick to your stomach. A lie is like a slippery little pill that goes down easy because it was designed to be swallowed. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's not intellectual. The truth is about wanting to see it. So one person could be very intellectual, very learned, and not see what's right in front of them because they don't want to see it. Another person could be very non-intellectual, very simple, and they could see as clear as day. It's not about intellect so much as it is about heart and just wanting to know and to see and accept the truth. So it's more of an emotional thing and a spiritual thing. But at this point, this site is full of fanboys. But then again, there are videos that are not necessarily truth movement type videos or entertainment videos. It could be videos on psychology or something else where you've got people who are reasonably intelligent and you can have deep and profound conversations with some of them. So, you know, it's not all black and white, there's gray. But anyway, I'm sorry this went on a lot longer than I intended. Hopefully this meant something for you. This for me is just sort of a sentimental look back at what I experienced and what I remembered. And truthfully, the only experience I ever had with community, the only time in my whole life I felt a part of a community. Not like, you know, a small circle of friends or something, but a community, meaning a significant number of people that I was a part of, that I was a welcome part of. I've always been the outsider. Outside of a small group of friends here and there, I've always been the outsider. The one who stays quiet and tries not to say too much. Like that song, Losing My Religion by R.E.M. Oh no, I said too much. I try to keep my mouth shut as much as possible and just be smile and be nice and listen to other people and let them speak. I'm a good listener. But of course, I like to speak. And when I do, I often get myself into trouble. YouTube was a place where you could speak freely. People didn't necessarily agree with you, but they they respected your views, they respected your opinions. And to have that happen with so many people, I've never experienced it before. It was an experience of a lifetime. It changed me, it taught me what a community is. It showed me a little bit of what I'd like the world to be in terms of the community. Again, I'm talking about the more positive side of the YouTube movement and not the more negative side. Again, I think most people that I was aware of seem to be pretty reasonable and pretty nice, pretty polite. At the very least, I mean, they keep their mouths shut. If they didn't know what they were talking about, if you were expressing an opinion, they let you express it. They wouldn't like, jump down your throat for it. There were groups that would, for whatever political reason, you know. But yeah, unfortunately, we're at the point where a lot of people are leaving. And in fact, I'm going to link you in the video information to a new Facebook account that I've made, which is in the same name, Greg Norlanis, where I do not have like a lot of friends and family there like, that I know in person. These are more people that I'm meeting online. I've just made this account, so I'm just starting to make, you know, friends there. This is new, but there's a community on there. I'm being told of people from YouTube, quite a few people from YouTube who are there. Some that I recognize. And it's strange to say, mention Facebook. I generally hate Facebook, but if you can make a Facebook account that isn't connected to your friends and family, where you feel like you got to watch what you say, it's different, because then you can communicate with people who are you know, like you and me, people that can think freely and share thoughts and ideas, and where that's a good thing, like YouTube was. So there are other areas other places where we can do this, and so Facebook is a great place for expressing thoughts and ideas freely. So the community is moving to other sites, and that's one site where it's moving to is Facebook. So I'll link you to that in the video information. Anyone who wants to make a video with their memories of whether it's positive or negative, you don't have to agree with me. That's not what I'm about. That's not what the YouTube community. It was always about truth. So you can flat out agree with everything I just said. I don't care. I'll watch your video. Anyone who makes a video on this, I will make. So please like share your thoughts and your feelings, or at least in the comments, like let me know I mean, I'm not, God, because you know all the big YouTube channels say this, let me know what you think, and they don't give a damn, you know? That's just, what do you want to call that? A marketing tactic, a commercial tactic. Anyway, I actually mean this because this is what mattered to me about YouTube really was the community, being a part of something positive, something real, and I really don't want to see it die. I don't want to believe that it's going to die. Even though it's fragmented here, I'd like to see a lot of the people, those of us who are still around, um, I like to stay connected to a lot of you because what I love here about YouTube is you, the people, you who have been friendly and kind or polite or quiet, whatever. I mean, all of us who were a part of something, this something that we're all a part of. This community is what I loved. It was never the site, it was the people. So, anyway, let's stay connected, those of us who are left. Peace.